Derick Giwner back with Matt Rose to discuss Dayton Raceway for Saturday, October the 1st. It's a monster card of racing, 12 races, all stakes. $3.4 million is on the line. It's probably the richest race in Ohio racing history. I'm pretty sure of that. We're going to take a look at four of those races, races 9 through 12. According to the early proof we got, there's a pick four there. So we're going to give out tickets, and hopefully the pick four is actually there. We're taking a shot at it. If not, then you get four great racing analysis videos here, all packed into one, good package here. We're going to show you a lot of replays, and we're going to start with race number 9. It is the $250,000 Dayton Trotting Derby, and we're taking a look at a replay of the Caesars Trotting Classic last time, which was won by Bella Bellini. She's not in this field. She's on another race on the card, but you could see a few things going on here with Jujube. Had the pocket, maybe wasn't quite, ready yet. Still trying to come back from a little bit of a layoff. You got a bunch of them in there. There's 5 from this race in there. One of them closing from the back there is It's Academic, who closed really well to get second. And when you look at this field, I don't know that there's a standout. I think Back of the Neck's going to be the favorite, but I don't see a horse that's a standout on paper.
And I would say the Back of the Neck are loved by the masses, who I actually liked to be in the number last week at Hoosier, and didn't tire all that badly after going basically a long grinding trip, so he can be excused off of that effort. But yeah, we saw that horse come out of the race at Harris. We saw It's Academic, who was buried, shook free, I guess, from behind Bella Bellini and flew home. Jujube, I guess you could, if you're a fan of that horse or connection to that horse, be happy that he took a step forward, but he still, clearly is not, 100%, from what we saw from him last year. But it certainly, well, maybe in disappointment, he hung a little bit. It certainly wasn't a bad effort. You figure him to just get better and stronger. But this is a solid race, and Back of the Neck, you said might be the favorite. I heard you have some intel that Tim Tetrick will be driving over Loved by the Masses, which is interesting. Back of the Neck won this race last year with Oki Svanstedt controlling. He's got 2 in here. Rattle My Cage also. It's a good race all around, and can make a case for 5 or 6 horses here. So I like Loved by the Masses personally. I think he might be a slight favorite. I just like the posts, and I think he's in a controlling spot. So that's probably where I'm leaning towards.
Before I get into my pick, why don't we take a look at the Back of the Neck's win? He's only got 1 win on the year, and it came in his last start in the Maple Leaf Trot. And he's going to come here from third over and just blow by the field late. They were decent fractions, 55-1, 123-2, but he was full of trot, Matt.
Yeah, he certainly had pace to chase, or trot to chase. But yeah, once he's fed racetrack, he's an easy drawing away winner, and it's not like it's not like that's an abnormality on his resume. He's been a solid horse all along, and he's done it on the big tracks, on the smaller 5/8 tracks. Like I said, he won this race last year. My concern is, does he have enough early speed to be close enough? Can he generate early speed? Can he win from third over, in this race? Those are kind of the questions I have, which may make me lean in a slightly different direction here. I'm just not sure, how the trip is going to work out.
Well, I'm actually going to end up going 3 deep in my pick 4 here, and Loved by the Masses is one of them. He was wide into the first turn last time. He was uncovered in that race. I think, obviously Tim Tetrick's one of the best drivers in the world, but I don't think getting a new driver on him this week is that bad of a thing. I think maybe a different set of hands will wake him up. It's possible. Sometimes that does happen. I like Rattle My Cage a little. I think he's got the early speed to get into position. I'm going to throw out the break last time at Yonkers. It was kind of a head scratcher as to why it broke, and it was a half-mile track, And my top pick, I think, is going to be Jujube in this spot. I'm going to let you talk in a second, Matt, but I think my top pick in here is going to be Jujube. And the reason why is the first start, he was awful. Last time, he he looked better. And you know what? While he didn't have anything in the stretch, and there was no big pop late. He kept up with the other horses very nicely. It was the kind of stepping stone mile that I think can build to something better. And I'm thinking maybe we see it here, because I know he can leave around everyone going to the front.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that first race at Scioto, yeah, it's like everything went wrong. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it wasn't like he backed up through the stretch. He just wasn't gaining. So obviously, yeah, it was a huge step forward. Is he ready to take the next logical step and actually beat these horses? Yeah, I mean, certainly it's certainly possible. It's not like we're talking about a fringe player here. I mean, he is he's a major contender, especially with that early speed and from a good mid-pack post. Does he cut the mile, or does Love by the Masses make an early move, or does somebody else? That remains to be seen. Does Jujube want to cut the mile? That's another interesting thought. But ultimately, I went 3 deep in what's going to be a very small pick four ticket. I also threw in this academic. Make the case he's knocking on the door. Dave Miller is listed again. You saw him fly home at Hoosier. On his best day, he's capable, and it'll be a price. So I'll throw him in there along with Back of the Neck and my top pick, Love by the Masses.
All right, we're going to move on to race number 10, $250,000 Dayton Distaff Derby. And obviously the one to beat here is Test of Faith. I mean, looking at her and looking at the field, she's probably looking at about 2 to 5 here when the gate starts rolling. We're going to take a look at the win last time in the Milton, and you see she's on the lead here, and they ain't getting her.
Yeah, you know what? It's been like this most of the year, and with these aged mares. Yeah, I mean, look how she's just powering away on her own, and just wrapped up, and that's most of her wins this year. That's how she's looked. She can brush, she can grind, she can do whatever she needs to do. And you know what? I'm looking at the rest of the field. There's nobody else has even stepped up remotely close enough to make me think that they could, beat Test of Faith if she brings her A game, so to speak, or a regular effort. No Win, No Feed is a Midwest regular, and he invites at Hoosier, and she's been looking great, but she's not really an invitational horse. I mean, I don't know what you think, but I can't see anybody who's stepped up enough to challenge Test of Faith at this point in time. So I will take
hard to see anyone.
2 to 5, 1 to 5, maybe 1 to 9.
Yeah, it's hard to see anyone beating her here. I expect, while she tends to come from off the pace a little, I think David Miller will probably push away a little bit, let the dust settle, make a quick move to the front, and then it's going to be race over here going for 250,000. If I was looking for a horse for second, I might try Chase Lounge. If you look, first start for trainer Ron Burke, made a break. You notice the next time out, Ron Burke was in the bike qualifying himself, which is interesting. Still won a 52 and change mile with Ronnie driving. Maybe second time, with in this barn, Yannick probably taking over the drive, I would imagine. Maybe could do a little bit more, but I think Test of Faith is pretty much a lock, and I think we should just move on to race number 11, which is the Ohio Sire Stakes Final for 3-year-old Colts and Geldings. It's worth $300,000. And we get a really nice matchup here. Well, some people are going to look at it as Buy the Missile Can't Lose. And other people, myself maybe included, are going to look at it as maybe we get a nice matchup here, because Slingshot was absolutely amazing last time. We're going to take a look at that video here. And this is race number 11, is the OBC final for $50-something thousand. And he just went down the road like really impressively. This other horse comes up alongside of him here, and he kind of just says, no soup for you, kind of, to use the Seinfeld line, and just pulls away. Third start with Lasix. He's been a completely different horse with Lasix, Matt.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. Obviously, adding Lasix 3 starts ago seemed to turn her around, seemed to turn him around in a hurry, and highlighted by that race, that clip we just saw last week at Delaware. has he elevated to matchup territory with By the Missile yet? That's a quite a compliment, I guess, for Slingshot. But yeah, I mean, you look at this field and what has By the Missile accomplished and what has everybody else accomplished? These are all as a group of solid Ohio breds, racing for 300 grand, the Ohio Sire Stakes final. But look what By the Missile has accomplished outside of the state of Ohio, or outside of the Ohio Sire Stakes program, if you want to include the Milstein domination in Northfield. The Adios, the Jug. He's just better. I think he's just better, and you might not say he's necessarily blows him away time wise or whatever on paper, but I don't see he deserves to be on a level on his own, other than we see a matchup. I think it's him. I'm going to go with the majority of the people out there, and he is going to be a very short price. It's him and the rest of them, and I don't see any reason why he doesn't take control of this race early. And if he does, I don't see anybody catching him.
The way I feel about it is, if you want to get a price in horse racing, you have to hit the horse before everyone thinks they're going to be really good. I don't know that Slingshot is as good as By the Missile, but I know what I saw at the Delaware County Fair, and it was very impressive. He went a couple seconds faster than By the Missile, though By the Missile in the first heat was clearly reserved and could have went faster. And the second heat, well, he had just raced, and we'll take a look at that second heat. Let's look at his Jug win here, and it was a pretty solid effort. He sat the pocket, pulled, and he did what he needed to do against a pretty game Forever Boy.
Yeah, pretty game Forever Boy, but once a pretty game Forever Boy until the top of the stretch, when he's just overhauled by the Missile. Ended up with, I guess you could say, losing the post row, but ended with post 2 in the final. But Chris Page tips him out, edges by to the front by Forever Boy easily and holds quite easily. And that was just like a workman-like effort. It wasn't flashy, but did what he needed to do. And, looks like he didn't even have to really empty the tank, even though that was, a late afternoon after going to the second heat. It didn't look like he was, completely spent or anything like that. And he's back a little more than a week later. And again, who's going to catch him if he makes the front? You love the clip of Slingshot being pressed and responding. By the Missile should be in that same spot on the front. And if he gets pressed by Slingshot, is Slingshot going to go by? I don't think so. Is there anybody else?
Well, maybe it'll be the other way around, and Slingshot will be on the lead, and By the Missile will be sitting in the pocket. Isn't that possible?
You made an interesting point when you said the key to making money is to catch these horses before everybody else, jumps on board. It's kind of interesting. I never really thought of it that way. Maybe I should have all these years. Anyone else in this race? Gulf Shores is a known name from a big 2-year-old season, big 3-year-old season, but he just hasn't been right. Something just isn't right with him. Rose Run Exiled is a nice horse. Obviously it's a solid field, but By the Missile.
It's a solid field, but I think we landed on the two right horses here, and we're going to move on to race number 12, $250,000 Dayton Derby. These are for the older pacers. This is probably the race everyone's waiting to see because it features Bulldog Hanover, and as we know, he's been the star of the sport almost the entire year. Basically, he's won every race except for one, and he's set a track record just about everywhere he's gone. And we're going to take a look at his winning effort last time. It was a track record at Hoosier Park. We're picking it up at the half here with Desperate Man on the lead. And you know what? A lot of these horses, there's 5 of these horses coming back, in this race here. Mm-hmm. Catch the Fire is one of them. He's making the move to the front right now. Bulldog Hanover is coming up to him. What I find most interesting here is Bulldog Hanover is going to take the lead here. And it's like no one has any chance of even gaining into him. I mean, some people might talk about Alleyway Hanover. Alleyway Hanover left. You can see he's 4th on the rail right now. He's the 6th horse. He's 4th on the rail. Right. He's going to clear, and he's going to gain ground in the stretch. But even when he does, no one's gaining on Bulldog Hanover.
Yeah, he just. I was looking at social media, no, most notably Twitter after the race, and so many people were chiming in like breathtaking, unbelievable, best performance I've ever seen. And when you get a horse now of this caliber, and you actually get maybe some crossover attraction where thoroughbred people are talking like, I don't follow harness racing, but wow, I saw that horse race at Hoosier Park. That was amazing, and stuff like that. That's when you've really hit the big time, and you have the potential to be like a generational horse, like the phrase they use. Does post 8 affect him at all? I mean, it's probably not the most ideal starting spot. How does Dexter Dunn look at this? Does he just drive on? Does he just gun from the gate and say, I'm just taking over early? It's got to be a lot of speed inside of him, you would think, trying to set up a trip ultimately behind Bulldog Hanover. How hard does Dexter Dunn have to work to, assumingly take control of this race?
Well, the first thing I see is, just going back to the video for a second in my head, Dexter Dunn wasn't even asking the horse in the stretch. He's just sitting there with a big hold of Bulldog Hanover, and he's just cruising along
Right.
in a track record on a track that, let's be frank, it wasn't fast. The track was not fast at all. I mean, it's not like it was some super, speed favoring, strip or anything like that. That's the first thing. I think you're going to have people who are going to say this is a 5/8 mile track. He has to prove himself over that, surface. He's got a bad post. There's tons of speed inside of him. Catch the Fire, Alleyway Hanover, American Courage. So a lot of speed. People are going to find reasons, I think, here to try to bet against Bulldog Hanover. But I think if we learned anything from this horse is that it doesn't seem to matter. He figures out a way and he overcomes. As far as trip, I think Dexter Dunn's probably going to push away a little bit. He's going to let the 6 and 7 fire out of their hard. He's going to push away and probably try to, make his way to the lead. Let's say the 3/8 are going to the half. Just slowly make his way to the front. And this horse seems to have the biggest set of lungs I've ever seen. I mean, he just doesn't seem to know the end of the mile. He just keeps finding more. I just don't see a reason to try to find a way to pick against him.
I heard in one of the interviews that Dexter Dunn couldn't even pull him up after the race. His last race at Hoosier. Like he wanted to go another mile. I mean, yeah, I don't see. Yes, it's a smaller track. Yes, it's an outside post, but he's facing the same horses that he's just, most of the same horses he's just completely dominated. And if he brings 80% of what he should bring to the table, then he beats these. So I mean, he's going to be 1 to 9 again. I have to imagine, and I guess the key to making a hit on the race is coming up with a cold exacta. I don't know if you have one. I've been stuck on This Is the Plan for quite a while. I know he never got involved in that race last week at Hoosier from an outside post, but he flew home to start before at Scioto. He likes the smaller tracks. You see what he's done on 5/8. You see what he's done on the half. So we all saw that race last year in Northfield where he went 147 and I forget what it was, 147 change, I'll say. Is this a spot Yannick Gingras listed on him again? Is this a spot where he gets aggressive early and maybe wants to be up close and sit a trip behind Bulldog Hanover, or at least chase Bulldog Hanover when, assuming Bulldog Hanover eventually clears? It wouldn't surprise me at all. So that'll be my cold exacta maybe with This Is the Plan for second.
Well, I like more of a speed number. I think Bulldog Hanover, Catch the Fire, or Alleyway Hanover. Neither one of them are going to be paying tons of money, but I would say choose one of those. And take a look at them at the track, on the track, see what you like, and go from there. Let's take a look at the Pick 4 tickets. Hopefully the Pick 4 will exist in races 9 through 12, and we're right. And you can see my ticket doesn't cost very much money. It's only $3. I went 3 deep in the first leg. Using Love by the Masses, Rattle My Cage, and Jujube. And I don't think any of them are going to be the favorite. I mean, but, considering that we're going to have a lot of favorites after that, that probably works out nicely. I mean, it's only a $3 ticket, but this might not pay more than $10. Let's be honest, because there's a lot of favorites in here. Test of Faith, and who I don't think can lose. Bulldog Hanover, who I don't think is going to lose, but some people might feel differently. And then the duo Buy the Missile and Slingshot. And I think Matt even undercut my $3 ticket with his pick 4.
Well, obviously you're looking for Slingshot as your price, to make this a legit payoff. I gave out $1.50 tickets. It's loved by the masses. Back of the neck. It's academic is. I'll throw them in there for an extra 50 cents. But if I was playing a cold pick 4, I would key Loved by the Masses, who may be the favorite, may not, but we're not talking a heavy favorite if he is the favorite. And maybe a cold pick 4, Loved by the Masses with Test of Faith, with Buy the Missile, with Bulldog Hanover. I mean, maybe you could squeeze that pays, $8 for 50 cents or something like that. But you play colds for X number of dollars, and it could be an okay return. I mean, obviously, unless you have serious opinions about the heavy favorites on paper in the last 3 legs, and you want to take stabs with prices, then doesn't leave with that many options playing this. What we hope this sequence exists, but yeah, I mean, $1.50 or 50 cents if we go cold on the cold 3328 pick 4.
Well, if you want a way to boost your winnings, you'll play the pick 4 tickets on DRF bets. We're giving away an 8% rebate on all wagers for Dayton for the entire 12 race all stakes card. So there's an extra 8% return on your investment, at least on what you put in. We'll also have a video of the entire card, free harness IPPs. So drf.com/harness. Check it all out and good luck.